I am sitting here about to have a very exciting conversation. Two Colemans, two mustaches. This is how podcasts should be. I'm here with Coleman Stewart. You just had, from the outside looking in, you had a pretty sensational meet this past match. Let's start there. Take me through that last match. How did it feel for you? What were you thinking? How would you assess your races?
It was a lot of fun. I mean, the whole season so far has been a lot of fun. Yeah, I mean, the 200 back, I think, I did swim it and I was in there for a long time. I got to say there was a bit of strategy involved with that. It wasn't, just an awful race, but yeah, 200 back, got that out of the way. And then was it 50 back was next. Yeah, I was able to get my hand on the wall first. That was really cool. I kind of wasn't really expecting any wins this first season individually, but yeah, that was really cool, especially going up against those big guys. London has some really good backstroke group, Irie for Tokyo and Justin. And then the medley relay was pretty solid. And then the next day, the 100 back, I was able to just I knew Irie was going to come back so strong the last 25. And I just went for it the first 75 and was just hoping I could hold on. Obviously I didn't, but yeah, I mean, his last 25 is just stellar.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like you said, you won the 50 back. You beat the London guys, Christian Diener, Guillermo Guido, which, like you said, they've got some speed and that was super fun to watch. I know after the first match or the first week, you tweeted some lessons that you had learned through that first match. Talk about that learning curve of being in the ISL, being in the bubble, and how you've kind of progressed these few weeks, or just, you personally, what you've taken away from these past few weeks so far.
Yeah, I was actually just talking to Wade, one of our massage therapists who's here, and it's been, I thought college swimming would kind of prepare me pretty well for this, but it is just totally different. The speed of the meets, it just goes by so quickly. You're not really able to spend much time in the team box if you're swimming, even 2 events per session. So it just goes by so quickly, but yeah, it's so much fun. I was thinking, like, 4 years ago, you're getting recruited out of high school. Like, I never would have thought I would be a professional swimmer in a professional swimming league. And now I'm not only here, I'm on one of the better teams. And, 4 years ago, I would have paid to have gotten this experience to be able to swim with all of these Olympians. I mean, there's too many to count, but like, it's just a really cool experience. I've been learning a lot, and yeah, I just feel really lucky to be on a team, especially the Condors.
Yeah, I want to take me through that first statement about, even if you have 2 races, you can't really spend a lot of time in the team box, and maybe even compared to a college dual meet. Obviously you're racing at a high level at a college dual meet, but you might not do as much outside of the actual race at a dual meet that I'm guessing you're doing at the ISL, especially because, one, you're racing another college team, and one, you are racing, like you said, an uncountable number of Olympians and, like, top level swimmers in the world. What are you doing to prepare for each race and to, cool down after each race?
Yeah, I mean, it like I said, it was a big learning curve. The first meet, I think I had the 100 back on the second day, and then right into the 50 fly, and I just so wasn't mentally prepared for that whatsoever. Like, college dual meets, they go on for like 2.5 hours typically, I think. And I mean, I would swim like 3 times, but you're not suited. So keeping the suit on for 2 hours, kind of tires you out a little bit here. And then just the mental drain of, I am competing against some of the world's best swimmers, and it's it's just so much different than college. Yeah. And then the skins in the first match, I remember number one, I was under the assumption that it was on 3 minutes rest, not 3 minute interval. So I looked up at the big scoreboard that's above us, and I saw that it was like already down to 2 minutes 10 seconds. I was like, no, they made a mistake. But but yeah, that was a huge curveball. I remember for the second round, like I got my hands up on the starting block or whatever, and I was like still breathing heavily, and I was like, I have never been in this situation before. Like, this is just something that was totally new to me. So, and I talked to some of our coaching staff, there's just a lot of stuff that you've never done before in your life that it's going to come with kind of time. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun though.
And so, like, does it require a lot more, kind of care and attention outside of the races to be able to kind of, perform at the level you want to every single time? Because I think from a fan's perspective, just watching it on TV, you kind of assume, it's like watching any sport. You see the athletes and you're like, oh, they're going to do really well because they have before. And that's just what they do. But I think most people don't realize it takes a lot of work to put in and time outside the pool, maybe to make those things happen.
Oh yeah. We have one coach who is back in the team area in the warm down pool. He's always telling people like, all right, this is the event that's going off. Like, we're supposed to be in the ready room 10 minutes before. So he's trying to help everyone out. And then we got the massage therapist trying to help everyone out. And then you got everyone trying to get together for the relays, and it's just kind of a hectic mess, but it's like, I don't think we'd have it any other way. It's just so much fun with all the moving parts and trying to get everyone to go together, but then also trying to stay relaxed. And yeah, especially with Caleb in the ready room, I was under the assumption that he would always be, like super serious, super, dead set, but he's at like a super goofy guy, and he's, just chatting with me in the ready room. And that's, something that it helped me relax a lot.
Mm-hmm. What has it been like to be, you have Justin Rest there, who's obviously an NC State teammate, but then, a lot of new national teamers that maybe you haven't met before or haven't been on a team before. What has it been like, just, yeah, like you said, to be on one of the better teams, to be on the Cali Condors?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a little intimidating at first because I've never been on a national team. I've, never really been up with the super high level professionals. But one of the first days that the first day we got here, I remember Kelsey Dahlia came up to me and was like, said that she, it was good to meet me and everything. And then she was like, well, yeah, I was really excited when we heard that we got you and you were on the team. That was really cool. And that was something that was kind of like, was pretty cool to have Kelsey, an Olympian, come up to me and tell me that. So everyone's been super nice. Yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been really cool.
Yeah. And again, just kind of going through these past few weeks, mentally, how do you feel? What adjustments do you feel like you've made from match to match? Kind of tell me some specifics of what you gain from each match.
One of the biggest things that I've learned is and we talked about it in one of our team meetings, is to just kind of, if you have a bad swim, forget about it. These meets go by so quickly where your next swim could be a really good one. So just trying to reset in between each race. And even with these 2 days off in between these two matches, like, you got to reset quick mentally and physically. So yeah, just trying to mentally and physically reset is something that's tough, but I think we're all learning how to adapt to do it pretty quickly.
Yeah. your first week or two in the bubble, did you kind of establish a routine just for yourself personally, not necessarily maybe training wise, but things you're doing outside of the pool in your hotel room? I know you can't have a ton of social interaction, but what are you doing to kind of keep yourself busy when you're not focusing on racing?
Um, I'm still in school, so I still got to do some schoolwork here and there. So that's been kind of keeping me a little bit busy. But yeah, other than that, it's been, trying to, if we don't have a morning practice, or if, the schedule changes day by day. So it's kind of hard to get into like a dead set schedule. So, I try to get up and do something every day. Like we obviously have full time every day, but, sometimes if I want to just walk around the island and, talk to my girlfriend on the phone, I'll do that. And that'll be, kind of a leg recovery day or something. But yeah, just trying to feel as normal as I can being stuck in a hotel room.
For sure. Uh, and so then training wise, obviously it's a little different because I just find it so fascinating because everyone there is racing at such a high level, but you're racing so much, right? Like, especially coming from the US, we're used to like, well, you train really hard and then you taper for one meet and, maybe two, but they're like 6 weeks apart. So what is that bit? What has that learning curve been like for you, and how has your training kind of mirrored that schedule?
Yeah, it's been pretty tough. Braden has been really good about getting us workouts at a pretty early, especially considering he has people on like 4 or 5 different teams. Yeah, plus the college team. But yeah, he's been really, really good about getting us the workouts. And he's been good about communicating with us via text and the coaching staff here. So yeah, it's really just about like, that part is similar to NCAA training, where it's like, I know I put in the work and I trust Braden. I trust the coaches. So it's just kind of time to throw down when it's time to throw down.
Yeah. So let's take it back a little bit. I talked to you at like the very, very beginning of quarantine. I haven't chatted with you since though. What did your last 6 months end up looking like in terms of, just where were you training? What kind of stuff were you doing?
So yeah, last time we talked, I was still up in York, I think. And then I went back down to North Carolina, was able to train in Braden's garage. Me and Chris Reed were just kind of making up workouts as we went, dryland stuff. And then we were able to get a little bit of pool time in a local pool, RSA's pool. And then we were kind of pool hopping here and there, just trying to get in where we could. Some days we had to get up like 4 to 5 time slot, which was I think it was 4 to 5. I can't remember. It was super early. Some days we only had like noon. So yeah, it was pretty tough. But luckily we were able to get some pool time. We've been lifting in one of our strength coaches' garages. He's been awesome about letting us use that. So yeah, it wasn't normal, but it was pretty close to normal. And then I think, yeah, it's pretty much what I was doing, just training and swimming, lifting. That was about it.
Yeah. So with your collegiate season, or sorry, with your collegiate career over now, does that affect how you're looking at things training from a training perspective? Does that affect the kind of work you're doing at a certain point in the season? Were you intentionally preparing for this ISL season in a certain way?
Yeah. My training is thankfully so much different than NCAA training. For me, everything was about swimming fast 11 times over 3.5 days, and which is really tough.
Yeah.
And of course, one of those events being the 200 backstroke. And yeah, so this summer I was able to focus a lot more on, you know, a little bit of long course training. We didn't have access to a long course pool, but Braden's pretty good about getting creative. So yeah, it was a lot more power stuff. Yeah, I mean, thankfully Braden is super understanding that like the ISL is, you know, a pretty big, you know, that's how I'm going to make enough money to live off of pretty much. So he was, you know, he's not one of those coaches who was like, oh, we're only going to focus on trials. I don't want you to swim fast there. I don't even want you to go. He was gung ho, all for it. So yeah, Justin and I and the other Wolfpack Elite swimmers, we're all, you know, I think we're going to hit our fastest at semifinals and finals. That's always been the plan. You know, we're fully tapering and everything. And yeah, so the training has been much different and I'm much happier about it.
That seems like a good thing.
Yeah.
And, you know, since now being a pro, I guess for 6-7 months, not even, or not really considering ISL, do you think that's changed just how you look at swimming at all?
Definitely, especially coming from a team where the team and culture is such a huge part of how we swim fast at NC State. No, it was totally different. You know, I haven't seen some of the guys on the team since March. You know, I haven't been able to train with them at all. So it is a little bit different training for just myself rather than, you know, the block S or the you know, diamond on my chest or whatever. It's a little bit different, but bottom line is, you know, I'll always be a swimmer for NC State. I'll always represent them in everything that I do. So I want to make them proud. So it's always just a little bit in the back of my mind.
Coming into college, or I guess coming out of high school rather, were you a swimmer like that? Did you come from somewhere that had a pretty heavy team culture, or were you someone who was more accustomed to kind of swimming for yourself?
So my last 2 years were at North Baltimore, and my junior year of high school, we had a really, really good training group there. I think we won junior nationals in the 8 free relay. So that was probably my high school highlight. So that was really cool. That was really cool. So I definitely and we were all like, we had so much fun training together. So I definitely wanted to go somewhere that had a similar brotherhood and, you know, team culture that we had at North Baltimore.
Mm. That makes a lot of sense, and certainly seems like you have benefited from that. So you mentioned, you know, your moment with Kelsey. You mentioned your moment with Caleb. I'm you know, just curious. Have you been starstruck, or has there been a moment in this bubble so far from a swimmer from another team where you're kind of just like, whoa, that's this person?
Definitely. I mean, it's probably happened more times than I would like to admit. Most recent one that comes to mind is after the medley relay this past meet. I like looked over and I was like, oh, just, you know, Adam Peaty in the lane next to me and Duncan Scott, you know, just gonna give him fist bumps because I just swam next to him. I don't know. It's yeah. I mean, you want to think that like, you know, I'm at their level, but it's still, you know, it's my first time, so I'm kind of like, I got to calm myself down and remember that I am competing directly against them.
It's it seems like a weird phenomena of like, these are my idols, but now I'm trying to beat them, but they're still cool, but they're on the other team.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, I think you're living every young swimmer's dream right now, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think we're definitely in a lucky place that we have something like this right now, especially in this COVID-ridden year.
Yeah, no kidding. So you've swam, you know, you kind of branched out a little bit. You swam backstroke, you swam butterfly. I don't know if you swam other things, but what have you thought of just kind of getting to dip your toes in the waters. I talked to Jonty a while ago, and he seemed pretty open and pretty fluid about having people swim multiple events or trying new things to see kind of what fits and what doesn't.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I've learned, you mentioned the tweets earlier, is short course meters is totally different than long course meters and short course yards. It is, huge learning curve with that. Pretty tough to kind of, especially with the 50 fly. Like I was, for some reason, pretty much focused on backstroke the first few weeks we were here, and didn't get my butterfly stroke count at all. So the first time swimming butterfly was that 50 fly. So that was definitely a big mistake on my part. But but yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to try to learn a whole nother pool essentially.
Well, is it just the stroke count? I mean, I'm guessing it's probably the energy expenditure as well, because I know in that tweet, one of your things was you can't swim the 100 back short course meters like you do short course yards because you'll die.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's one more cycle than yards, but it builds up. I mean, I didn't think that it would as much as it does. I mean, yeah, short course yards, I'm taking 6, 7 strokes a lap, and here I'm taking 8, 9, 10 in 100 backstrokes. So, and short course yards, I'm so driven on my kick count and stroke count where I have to totally reteach myself. So, it's just totally different.
In that same conversation with John T, he said the first week, I think it was on the B medley relay, you swam backstroke and then Justin Rest swam butterfly. And afterwards, he was like, yeah, I talked to them and they're like, no, this should be the opposite. Can you tell me about that conversation or the realization for Coach John T?
Yeah, I mean, he's been pretty open about, he takes constructive criticism pretty well. So yeah, I mean, everyone wants what's best for the Condors, for the team. So, if we think that, someone might do better in another event, he's been pretty open about it. And yeah, Justin and I were just kind of like, I was kind of the butterflyer sometimes, when I needed to be. Justin was the backstroker when he needed to be. So, why not just try it out,
Yeah. Has there been any surprises or anyone lobbying for an event or a stroke that may come as a surprise? I mean, we've obviously seen Caleb in breaststroke skins twice now. And, he's, I think he's proven himself pretty well in that one. But
yeah,
has there been any other surprises for you that you're like, oh, they swim that and they're pretty good at it?
I think the biggest surprise for the entire team is Eddie Wong. That kid is a beast, man. He can swim anything. 200 fly, 100 fly, 100 free, 400 free. I mean, yeah, I don't think any of us, I definitely was blown away by how fast that kid is.
What have you seen him train yet? I mean, is he just flying when you guys practice?
He can train. He's in a different group than the group I train with, but from what I've heard, he's giving Caleb a run for his money sometimes.
And he's like 17, right?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. Again, one of many great things about ISL is, you see these new stars. Eddie Wong of the Cali Condors being one of them. It's just a rising talent. It's awesome. Has there been anything in practice that you've done or that you've seen someone else do so far that has stood out to you?
I mean, it's honestly kind of seeing how everyone train has kind of just stood out to me. Like,
yeah,
I was telling Justin, like, I knew that NC State is a pretty low volume, high intensity training group, but seeing how some of the other groups train, like, I didn't realize how low we were. I mean, watching the Florida guys and the Georgia people, and you got Tate and Townley from Texas. Hearing some of their war stories makes me glad I went to NC State even more.
I mean, I've seen most of those programs, and I don't know, like, especially the work, that underwater work group that I've seen, I've filmed of you at NC State before. I mean, that's like, it doesn't matter how far or not far you're going. Like, that's, that's tough, but it seems like you're, obviously I think the sprint group, I think with Bobby and I'm assuming with Todd as well, it was on the low side for sure, but it seemed like you guys did a fair amount of yard, you're kind of in that middle, but you're right. The Georgia and Texas, and from what I've heard of Florida, they just crank.
They grind.
Yeah, that is wild. But it's, again, another great thing about ISL. You get to come together with those athletes and kind of see all the walks of life, even if you're from the same country. It's pretty different.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been awesome to see, for sure.
Well, Coleman, any parting thoughts before we sign off?
Not really. I don't have any words of wisdom.
So last question, just, you said, as full of a taper as you can get heading into semis and finals. What are you thinking? Where's your headspace at heading into this last match and then on to semis and finals?
Just trying to swim as fast as I can. Like I said, short course meters is a whole new animal. So I'm just trying to kind of take all of my times and how I swim with a grain of salt, realizing that this is the first time I've swum it competitively. So, I'm, expecting a lot out of myself, obviously. But yeah, just trying to keep everything with, reality a little bit.
You've been listening to the SwimSwam podcast. Stay tuned for new episodes every week. You can take SwimSwam podcast on the go by subscribing on your favorite podcast platform. Look for links in the description below, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos as well.